Have you ever wondered why you're still single after so long? Or if you'll ever meet your perfect match? Well, in this podcast episode, Dr. April Brown and I are breaking down reasons to revamp your lover's checklist. Hey there, I'm Erica, and I'm the creator and host of the Nonstop Podcast and an international purser and flight attendant. Welcome back to my channel, where I release a podcast episode just like this one every week, giving you insights about relationships, careers, wellness, and travel. We talk to experts as well as everyday people so that you can use our life lessons to enhance your lifestyle. Be sure to write a review wherever you're listening to or watching this episode because it helps us find and connect with people just like you. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's get into it. I have the beautiful Dr. April Brown with me, and we are going to get into some fun stuff. So this episode today is all about revamping your lover's checklist. All right, Dr. April, go ahead and let us know a little bit about you.
Okay, yes, my name's Dr. April, and I'm known as the Doctor of Intimacy. And what I mean by intimacy is just how couples connect, but also that self-intimacy and spiritual intimacy and intimacy overall. I've practiced in Florida, and I also do couples retreat.
All right.
Yes.
Well, let's get into it. What does an initial session look like with you?
Oh, so initial session looks like when you come with me, we will first discuss about how you guys met, because I really love hearing a love story, how they met. Yes. And then, of course, you're going to tell me a little bit about your issues and that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to give you a tool of communication that for many people, it blows their mind. Because many times when you start with me, I need to lower the temperature in the room. Yeah, people come and they want to argue and whatever. I'm going to teach you how to lower the temperature in the room.
So, what's some of the basic advice or tips that you would have for a couple that is lacking intimacy in their relationship?
So even in the sense of what I did there, it's first thing, understanding your body, understanding how you feel, understanding when you start to get upset, understanding your love language, understanding your body. That is the number one. Then the second thing is learning to understand your partner, and what your partner looks like when they're upset, what kind of love language they have, when, how to feed into that, and then bringing it together.
You kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but can you talk to us about the different forms of intimacy?
So when I say intimacy, everyone just thinks about sex.
Of course, yeah.
And sexual intimacy, of course, we know that. And that's just one form of physical intimacy. And physical intimacy is, of course, that touching. But there's a lot more other forms of intimacies. There's the emotional intimacy, connecting our feelings, sharing and talking about our feelings. There's also the talking, which is the communication intimacy, using our words and how we can connect. But there's also the intellectual intimacy, connecting our minds, sharing knowledge. Then there's that creative intimacy, whether it's doing art together or creating different kind of flower parts or whatever the case may be. There's also that intimacy of aesthetic, being out in nature, riding your bike together. There's, of course, that spiritual intimacy, connecting with your higher power. Yes, there's the financial intimacy, talking about finance and connecting together. There's a variety of different, I have like 7 books dedicated to the different forms of intimacy.
That's wonderful. Okay, so let's kind of touch on the emotional intimacy for a moment. So, do you think that people should go into relationships expecting emotional intimacy from the start, or is that something that takes time to build and grow?
Well, yeah, I think it takes time to build and grow. If you're going into a relationship, or even when you just meet someone and you expect them to just like tell you everything, and you tell them everything, and they're supposed to love you and all that, that's not quite healthy, okay?
Well, in the same vein of expectations, let's dig a little bit deeper in today's specific topic of a lover's or a partner's checklist, right? So, how would you describe a lover's qualification checklist?
When you go to the store, I don't know if you've gone to the store when you're hungry and you don't have a list. I know for me, and I've been there many times, and I would love to say, yes, I end up picking up sweets, anything, just like whatever I want. My craving at the moment. But it may not be the best thing for me. So it is really important to sit there with yourself and to really say what is best for me. And for some of us, we pray about these things and all this other stuff and create a list that's this is what's good for me. Then take that list, have it on your phone, have it accessible. Okay. So when you're meeting different individuals, you're reviewing your list because you may have like, I don't want a smoker.
Yeah.
But then you see this sexy man, he's got everything, the abs, the motorcycle, the muscles.
My dream husband, yes.
Then you hook up with them. Yeah. And then you're arguing about it. And the reason also to write it down is we've also heard of the terminology, the law of attraction. You know, what you put out there in the atmosphere, you get back. So if you write down what you want, your goals, and you see it every day, there's a better chance that will happen. And that's happened to me. So
That's a great description. So how important is it for people to, before they start dating, how important is it for people to actually write down those checklists? Or do you think they could do it as they start to date to figure out certain things, or a combination of both?
if you're really serious about there's so some people just date to date. But if you're serious and you're really looking for a life partner, it's important to have that list. Of course, as you're dating, then you're dating someone and you're like, oh my gosh, this is something I cannot take. Because what you don't want to do, and even when I talk with couples, so you don't want to change your values for someone. Because when you start changing your values, you know what happens? Do you know what happens?
What, you lose pieces of yourself, you lose your identity? Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
You lose
yeah. I've been
yourself.
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And you're like, who is this person?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you don't recognize you or the things you do or anything like that. So, okay, so let's kind of dig into that a little bit more. So, do you think that people should adjust or edit their checklist as they get older maybe? So, I know of course it starts off when you're in your 20s and you're just dating and having fun and getting to know people in your 30s. It gets a little bit more serious, right? So, you get the foundation of what you want maybe starting a family. As you get older, you may or may not divorce. Like how does that should people change and adjust their checklists as they get older or as things happen in their life?
Well, of course. You're still very young.
I'm 33, yes.
33, yes. As you get older, there's different things that, matter to me that may not matter to you as much. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, you're going to change. Yeah. And then sometimes your lifestyle changes. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to figure out what's really important to you. And when I talk about a checklist, I'm not talking about just putting 6 foot.
Yes, let's go into that. That was actually my next question. So, okay, Dr. April, talk to us about some things that people should actually put on their qualifications checklist or the lovers checklist, right? So, we're not just talking about 6 foot, I don't know, muscles. What are they? Tall, dark, and handsome, right? We're not just talking about those things. What other options or what other things that we put on our checklists?
Yeah, like for some people, education is important. For others, it's not, and then you have to think about when you're raising kids. For some people, drinking is a matter, smoking, but then these other aspects of honesty or I want some person who's very spiritual. Spiritual is totally different than sometimes, not totally, but somewhat. You want someone who's going to church every day or every week. Yes, if a person's a family man, you know what I'm saying? Or a person who is very athletic and likes to do things, on the go, that they're like really, really, no, but I really like someone who likes, more quiet time.
Reading books or listening
Reading
to
books.
music, piano,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Some of these things you may not find out right in the beginning, but come over time. Also a good thing you ask people is how do you cope when you're stressed?
That's a good one. It's funny. I was gonna say I don't think I asked that when I was dating. I need to add that to my list actually.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because some people like to just be left alone, just, I don't want to hear from you for the next week. Other ones, once, I don't want you to leave me.
Yeah. Wait, I need yeah. So it's you're right though. It's completely different. And honestly, it depends on how you react, right? Because I guess that could be you could be headbutting so that's very interesting. I didn't think about that one. Yeah.
Well, that's a very interesting. Some people smoke marijuana. I mean, which is, and others are totally against it. Some drink. I mean, yeah, just 50 million different things. Some people tell their business to everybody. You got to start having these these things.
These conversations, yeah. That's actually a really good one. Now, do you think there are certain criteria that people should avoid or rethink when they're thinking about their lovers checklist?
There's certain superficial things, like being 6 foot.
Are you sure? We want all 6-foot men, Dr. April. Come on. Right?
Yes, yes, yeah. Some people maybe just how much a person makes. It just kind of depends, you know. But I'm one that I've always had to date someone who has a job.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm mean,
You
but
got to
some
have
other
some
people
sort of
are.
income. You got to have a job. That's what they say, right? Okay.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. And then you have to realize, especially I think when you hit toward the late 20s, early 30s for sure and on, you have to love people for who they are, not for their potential. When you're 17, of course, you can love someone for their potential. But 30s, 40s, 50s,
They are who they
60s,
are.
70s, yeah, yeah, stop falling in love with a man's
Yeah.
potential.
What you
That's
got is what you got. Yeah.
exactly.
That's accurate. So, why do you think people add so many different requirements for a potential partner when they're out in the dating space? When does that type of thinking become detrimental?
Well, it can become detrimental when your list is so long and you've excluded everyone and you give no one a chance.
This impossible person, this fantasy person that you'll probably never come in contact with.
We're all work in progress.
Absolutely.
I guess another one I would add on, that's just me personal, is someone who's comfortable in their own skin, you know? Yeah, who's maybe done some mental health work or whatever. Yeah. And it's good to understand as you get older, people's medications.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's a good one. I was going to say I didn't think about that either. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, you get older. Yes, yes. You want to know. Yeah.
How do expectations of a partner or a relationship affect a couple? New couple or a couple that's been together for a while?
Right. So when you expect things, you have this certain thing and then you get disappointed. Like if I expect my relationship to be XYZ, then you get really kind of disappointed that it's not there. So many times you have to start with the reality and reality of what you bring to the table.
Talk about that. So, I guess actually let's touch on that for a second. So, do you think let's say I found somebody I was dating and I expected them to have XYZ when it comes to criteria. Should I also have XYZ? Should you expect the same thing so you have what you expect from a partner?
Right, right, right. And what I would say is I also have people write down what they bring to the table. So of course you're not going to be the same as your partner, but you need to know what do you bring to the table and be honest. Like for me, I am a non-cook. So I know I'm
Me too.
yes, yes, so I'm not putting down there and yeah, that I'm going to be cooking. That is not me. And for me to fake that, if you wanted someone to have a dinner on the table at 5 o'clock every day, it's 5:27. You and I are still working.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
We're not the people for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that. So, what advice do you have for the folks who rule out any potential partner that doesn't have most or all of these qualities on their checklist? Like if they're not, we talked about the 6 foot, the tall, dark, and handsome, but maybe they also don't have, maybe they're not as compassionate as I'd like them to be, or maybe they don't want kids. Like what advice do you have for those people?
So it depends on your value system. Like well, I'm older, so kids, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, yeah. So that wouldn't be a. But for some people, kids is a deal breaker. Yeah, don't marry if you really want kids. Don't marry someone who doesn't really want kids because it's going to turn into a pressure thing. And why are you pressuring me to have kids? I told you day one, and now you want me to have a kid. So it's different than okay. Well, I really like dancing. He doesn't like dancing. You know,
You can get over that. Yeah.
you compromise.
Go out with your friends. I'll see you when you get home. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really all about that value system.
What quality should people bring to the table? I know we're talking about what you bring to the table and writing that down before you talk about your partner, but what quality should somebody have as they get into the dating pool?
Okay, so one thing I would say is I know that no one really teaches us about relationships. So when we start dating, maybe the first few people may not be the best people we date, okay? And you learn. And I see sometimes in the beginning, your dates may be like, I don't know, D minus, F,
I like the grading scale. Yeah.
Yeah, you want that every time that you enter into a full relationship, it should be better than the last one. Okay, so that is very, very important in that aspect. Right. And the other thing I was going to say is that if you just ended a relationship and you're hurt, chances are you have holes in your heart because you feel like you've been stabbed or whatever the case may be. You really want to heal somewhat before you enter into another relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because you're into, let's say you in a relationship, someone cheated on you, you got all this, whatever. Then you start another relationship, and boy, he was supposed to pick me up 15 minutes ago. Maybe he's cheating
Mm.
on me now.
Mm.
With the triggers, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Please, 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 let's enter into a relationship with a not a beat up heart. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you've dealt with some of your emotional baggage, so you're not bringing it to the next relationship.
Yeah, that's a big one. So, it's funny. I think sometimes when people say, "Oh, you should heal before you date." Now, are you talking like completely hit? Because we're not, nobody's perfect, of course, right?
Right, that's what I said
Yeah.
somewhat.
So we're talking about just being able not to be triggered by certain actions and things like that, but understanding what happened, kind of healing the process or the grieving process rather from the old relationship, right?
Right. And number two is also you should come into the relationship loving yourself because people treat you the way you treat yourself. People treat you the way you treat yourself.
I felt
And
that one. Yeah.
yeah, in most major religions, it says love your neighbor as yourself. So many times we put everybody else above us, and we do everything running around, fixing dinners or whatever the case may be, taking care of their stuff. And then we have nothing. And like, by the end of the day, no one's taking care of me. Well, you're not even taking care of you. People treat you the way you treat yourself.
That's a good one. That is definitely a good one. So, what is the majority of your clients concerned about when it comes to looking for a partner?
So many of the clients that come to me are coming from ending a relationship of some sort, and they don't want to repeat that same behavior. So sometimes we have to go back and look at what we saw in childhood, because those are sometimes the images and the role models of how we show up as an adult and what we end up picking.
Our first loves, we're learning the first relationships, really, right? Yeah.
Right, right, right. That's what they say. A lot of times a man will pick someone similar to his mom, and a woman will pick someone similar to the dad or the dad figure. Yes, yes. So I think that's very important to think about.
So, do you think going into couples therapy is beneficial for new relationships or unmarried couples as well?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So for unmarried couples or anyone who actually uses my services, I do a Gottman thing where they take an assessment that looks at
Mm,
about 89 aspects of a relationship.
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, from how well you understand each other to that emotional intimacy to that passion, romance, a lot on communication, whether you can compromise, repair things. But it also looks at issues such as finances, household chores, all these other things and it does also look at one's anxiety, depression, and social isolation and all that. So if you get that information in the beginning, and if there's some areas that need to be tweaked, it's great. Yeah, if you're in a marriage and you're feeling stuck and you don't know what to do, where we should go, you get that information. Wonderful. Yeah, if you're toward the end and you're like, I don't even know if I should divorce this woman, that is also helpful. Information is power.
That is true, 100%. It's funny that you say that because I'm thinking, oh, after all that time, and I think that's part of it. With when you lose a relationship or you lose a partner and you're moving on, it's a loss, and I don't think people really understand. Like, okay, you get your heart broken, but that's a full on loss because that person may have become your best friend. If you're living with a person, you're spending 90% of your time with that person. So taking time to just sit back and understand what happened, and really kind of grieve it. Give yourself the chance, give yourself the opportunity to grieve. People just love to move on so quickly, right? Just give
Right.
yourself that time. Yeah.
Right, right. And grief looks different for everyone. And you may have a moment where you're so sad and you're crying about it. Then you may have the next moment where you're like, I miss them, I miss them, I miss them. And then you have the next moment, I can't stand them. So what I do, one of the things that I do tell people to do, especially if it's been a toxic relationship and they really want to get over this person, when you're strong and you really, really know that, hey, I know why this relationship ended, it was not good for me, and you feel very, very strong about it. I need for you, if the audience is out there listening, record a short video to the weak self. So the strong you says, I know this man was no good for me, nada, nada. I'm really, strong. I know he did X, Y, Z. Record a video to the weak self, the one who's crying in bed, say, I miss him. I wonder where he's at, because you know how to talk to that person. And you talk to that person when you talk to that person out of love, because you love that weak self side of you. And then when you're weak, when you're thinking, oh, should I check out their social media? Send them that last text. I need for you to go back and watch the video of the strong you.
That's a good one. I don't think I've ever done. I don't even
Yes.
think I've ever thought about that. Yeah, that's a fantastic. Okay, so everybody out there who's listening and watching, go ahead. If you're going through a breakup, a divorce, whatever the case is, that's a really good piece of information. Thank you so much for that, Dr. April. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. Listen to ourselves more than anybody else.
There you go. There you go. So, okay, what criteria have you noticed that most women, most of your female clients want when they're looking for a partner?
Well, first time they always say this tall thing, and I'm only 5'3", so I don't know why men are whatever.
Most men are taller than you.
I know, yeah, and these women are not even all that tall.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one thing, of course. But overall, women want to feel secure. And that's what they're looking for, that emotional security. Someone who can open up and express their feelings and to their partner, and the woman can express her feelings and the man can validate.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So on the flip side of that, what do most men look for?
So men, of course, sometimes it is that physical aspect, because men are very visual. But overall, men want someone who can respect them. Men see love as respect. So it's that tone of how we talk to them, how we say things to them. Yes, that's how men see love, as respect. And if they feel like you're yelling and screaming and they can't communicate, sometimes they're just not saying anything. Some of them have a hard time expressing themselves, that they're hurt. So these are people who haven't really done a whole lot of work. They go and act out.
Now, thinking about all of that together, right? We had a breakup, and then we're grieving, we're going through, we're doing our emotions and like kind of doing the work, the self-work, right? So we get to a point where we're like, okay, so here's our criteria for our lovers. Like, this is our lovers checklist. These are the things I want. These are the things I don't want. Now, should you discuss those requirements or those criteria with your potential partner early on?
Oh, I did. Yes, I always have done. Yeah, of course. And when you're back in the dating world, number one, you should also live your life as if you have someone there.
Speak
Okay,
more on that one. Yeah.
So you're like, oh my gosh, I really want someone to go to the movies with.
Yeah.
Well, take your damn self to the movie.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes, if you want to go to a restaurant, go to a restaurant. Yeah, but I feel awkward being by myself. Be comfortable with yourself. Okay. So when this person comes in, it's just an asset. So live your life as if someone is there already. And then that person can slide in and they're active. Because what is sad is when you've been a couch potato and this person comes in and you're not even off the couch, you understand, yeah, what that can lead to.
Yeah. For individuals who initially ignored or overlooked certain qualities that they dislike in a partner, how do you move forward in that relationship? Is it a possibility to move forward?
Yeah, so it depends what kind of dislike. Well, maybe I dislike him chewing with his mouth open. That's a petty thing. Maybe sometimes there's certain things you can discuss, but it's got to be in a way of starting with I. I feel, I need, I want. if you start a conversation up with you did this, you did that, of course, it's just not gonna, person's gonna be defensive. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's funny that you mention it, because I think that's something that can really kill a relationship or it can grow a relationship. When you know how to
Right.
communicate, and not just communicate talking about like, oh, like I want to go to the movies or what, something like that. I'm talking about communication when you argue. If you can
Right.
argue, I don't want to say correctly, but if you can argue in a loving way, or at least not so much attacking, you're still a team even when you argue, right? We're all going to
Right.
have arguments and disagreements, but to be able to argue as a team or disagree as a team, I think that it makes the biggest difference. What are your thoughts on that?
No, definitely. It's how you can communicate. Can you compromise? Or can you agree to disagree? You don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to argue. We can agree to disagree and we can move on.
Mm-hmm. 100%. So, do you have any advice for someone out there who their partner really isn't open to therapy, but they think that they need some help with their relationship?
Yes, yes. So you could try a variety of different things. Sometimes partners are okay, you guys reading books together. There's a lot of different relationship books, you know, or listening to a podcast about relationships. Yeah, it's one thing. Sometimes even you just sharing a story. So when people out there thinking about therapy, a counselor's job is, this is what I feel, is that we help you see each other. Okay, it's not our job to sit there and fix your problem or whatever, or to tell you exactly this is how this should be. No, what I'm doing is helping you see each other.
I like that. 100%. Yeah. Because, it's interesting. Even with family therapy, I was thinking about it. Sometimes you just go in there, you're so hot, and you're like, this is my stance, and I'm going to die on this hill. Like, this is it, right? So then you going in there and being able to see each other in a different light and have some, like a mediator, basically, right?
Right,
So here's
right,
here's what I'm hearing. Here's what, so yes, they're arguing, they're frustrated. You see all this anger, the tears, but here's what I actually see, and you're
right,
able to give them that in a different light so they can understand. Is that about right?
right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And when you, I talk about in my first session, when you understand about flooding, when you start to get upset and how your body reacts to that, and then when your partner starts to get upset and how their body reacts, when you understand when you're flooded means that emotion gets way up here. If you can know, hey, I'm flooded and I have to take a timeout to calm myself down, because it's not your partner's job to calm you down. It is your job. It is your job.
I want to say that one more time. It is not your partner's job to calm you down. It is your job.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes it means taking a timeout, just like they do in football and basketball. And I help couples arrange what a timeout looks like, how long it looks like, because it technically takes the body 20 minutes
Ah,
to calm
interesting.
down. So timeouts for couples should be 20 minutes or no more than 2 hours. And you go and you calm yourself down. What calming yourself down means is your self-care. You journal, exercise, breathe, ride a bike. What do you do to ease your mind, to ease that, so you can go back and say, I feel, I need, I want?
And I love that, again, when you say you start the conversations with I versus
Yes.
you, because attacking your partner goes back to what I was talking about before. A team, right? You don't feel like you're on a team anymore. So I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, I have one more question before we wrap it up. What advice do you have for people who are struggling to find or keep a relationship because of their lover's qualifications and requirements?
So one of the other thing that I haven't really probably strong talked about is we all have an inner spirit in us. And sometimes it does require for us to set time aside to pray and meditate, because our inner spirit is there telling us and helping us. And so in every relationship, it doesn't necessarily, it's always going to be roses. Sometimes challenges are going to happen. And you have to know, how do I go about addressing this? Whether it's, being able to be supportive of my partner. Now, of course, this is different than if you're being abused, which is a whole different story. If someone's physically abusing you or talking you down. And even in that process, sometimes you can't just leave, because, those things can be very dangerous. It's also sitting down, communicating maybe with a therapist or whatever to come up with a plan. Yeah, but it's checking in with yourself.
Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you so much, Dr. April, for coming and hanging out with us today. can you let the Next Time Nonstop family know where they can find you, whether it be a website or on social media?
Okay, yes. So one easy way to find me is there's Bringing Intimacy Back, which I do a podcast, and so it's bringingintimacyback.com. But what an easier way than that is to just find me by my name, draprilbrown.com. Dr. April spelled just like the month, Brown spelled just like the color.com. And you can see I provide sessions, retreats, books, podcasts, quizzes.
So you have your own podcast, the Bringing Intimacy Back. Do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yes, so that's live every Thursday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's also on a podcast. And we talk about intimacy in all aspects, from sex to religion to food intimacy to being as a parent intimacy. Of course, most of it is about relationship intimacy and, the traumas and hurt and all that. So definitely it's a free resource out there.
I love that. And we can go ahead and find that on your website as well?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. So I'll make sure I have all the links for you guys here in the description. And again, Dr. April, I want to say thank you so much for spending some time with us. If you have any questions or want to leave me a voicemail, go to anchor.fm/nextstopnonstop/message. I'll also leave that link in the description below. If you're still rocking with me and you haven't already subscribed to the Next Stop Nonstop podcast, what are you waiting for? Don't be shy. Poke that subscribe button so that you don't miss the next episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. So, until we meet again, I want to wish you healthy minds and happy travels.